This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I'm Sal Berry, and with me is Tim Parish. And today we're going to talk about the Chicago Sports Spectacular that just took place this past weekend, the March 2026 Chicago Sports Spectacular. We're also going to talk about the U.S. Paralympic Sled Hockey Team winning the gold medal at the Paralympic Games. So that's what's on the agenda for this episode. So, Tim, how are you doing? I know I just saw you a couple days ago, so I almost feel weird asking, how are you doing? Because, like I said, I just saw you a couple days ago, but I guess the audience wants to know how you're doing.
No, they don't. We
Yeah,
get hate mail about it all the time.
Huh?
I said we get hate mail about it all the time about me complaining about how I am.
No.
I'm a little tired, but a little sore. I'm sore from Saturday from walking so much.
Uh-huh.
Like, normally it doesn't bother me, but that show was so freaking packed. It was like you're not walking, you're just shuffling.
Yes. And we definitely got to talk about that because I have since November of 2019, I sell at this show, so I don't really walk around that much. So I'm glad that you were able to come and walk around and look at the show, especially on the busiest day. Not only get some shopping in, but also just to talk about what you saw, because I didn't get to see all that much. But yeah, I mean, I was also tired and my back was also hurting, and just from standing like that freaking concrete floor. I mean, I guess we're getting old because now it's like, oh, this concrete floor, it's terrible, but it is. It really is. It hurts, man.
It does. And I have all the details, so I'm ready to share. Stay tuned.
Okay, well, let's get into our first topic then. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Paralympic Sled Hockey Team winning the gold medal at the Paralympic Games. And then we're going to get into our discussion of the Chicago Sports Spectacular. 3 hockey teams from USA, 3 gold medals, 3 for 3. I love it. The women's team first won the gold medal, then the men's team won the gold medal, and then the Paralympic men's sled hockey team won the gold medal. There's no women's Olympic sled hockey team yet. Now, I will say this. I don't know a lot about sled hockey. I do know that in the U.S., we call it sled hockey. And in Canada and in Europe, they call it sledge hockey. So it's like the U.S., it's kind of like the whole football soccer thing, right? Like the rest of the world calls it football, but we call it soccer. And we call it sled hockey, and the rest of the world calls it sledge hockey. But now the unified name for it is para hockey. So this is for people who are differently abled. They don't have the use of their lower extremities, so they sit on these sleds, or sledges, I think they're actually called, and they kind of scoot around with these 2 sticks, and the butt end of the stick has like a pick on it, so it's almost like a ski pole. So they use that to like pull themselves around the ice, and then the other part of the stick has like a blade. So they basically have a stick in each hand that either doubles as a pick for propulsion and turning, or a bladed part of the stick to shoot the puck. So the U.S. team won the gold medal. They've won it in 2002, 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022, and now 2026, right? So unlike the Olympics, where it's usually Canada winning the gold and USA winning silver, a lot of times in para hockey, it's the other way around. So USA won gold, Canada won silver, China won bronze, and then Czechia took 4th place. The gold medal game, unlike the men's and the women's games, which were 2-1 overtime thrillers, this was a little more one-sided, with USA winning 6-2 over Canada. And their star player, Jack Wallace, scored a hat trick and was named tournament MVP. So I just think that's cool. I know you don't watch, you didn't watch any of this tournament, but I don't know if you just have any thoughts about that. Not to put you on the spot.
I mean, it's cool anytime USA sweeps.
Yeah.
I'm all about that kind of thing. And
yeah.
Hate to say it, but especially when we can beat Canada. that's always the extra cherry on top. Because I feel, as an observation, that many north of the border take it much more seriously. And that's fine. So that makes it all even better.
So right, beating them because they care.
Yes. I've watched sled hockey before. The last Olympics, I watched a bunch of the games during the Paralympic Games. In fact, that was the only part of the Paralympic Games that I watched, were the hockey games that were broadcast. I remember a few Olympics ago with the Paralympic Games, it was like impossible to even find it unless you had all the extra stuff, which I didn't have. But now that we have Peacock as part of TV, it makes it a lot easier. Plus with the streaming and everything else. But the fact that we've dominated this is kind of cool. Especially for the last 5 in a row. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah,
but
and
watching these games is crazy. Just watching these guys, the amount of upper body strength you have to push and pull with everybody crashing into you. I mean, it almost looks like bumper cars.
Yeah, and one time, me and some friends were playing a pickup game, and then after the game, when we were off the ice, some para hockey players came on for like a practice or something. And I mean, it was a practice. It wasn't a game because they weren't in like matching uniforms or anything. And so we're leaving the rink, but we slow down and stop to watch them. And we're just watching them take shots. And I mean, basically all their shots are wrist shots. And you know what I mean? They're not doing slap. I mean, maybe they do slap shots. I'm not sure. But like what we were just watching is a lot of it was just like, because you're only shooting with one hand, right? And so the strength that they were able to propel the puck with using one hand. And, not everybody, you're right-handed or you're left-handed. Maybe you're ambidextrous, but one hand is usually going to be stronger than the other hand, right? So like the fact that they shoot with both hands. I mean, so we stopped and we were watching them shoot the puck, and we were more impressed like when they missed and we'd hear it hit the boards and we'd be like, damn, I wish I could shoot the puck that hard. I can't shoot the puck that hard with two hands. So I was impressed by that. And then I have
the sleds themselves. Have you ever seen how those sleds are built?
I didn't really look too closely at them.
Like I watched a thing about those a while back about how they make them and how the sleds are designed and how they do the seat area, how it's like molded around the person, and most of these guys have them specifically molded to fit them. So it's not like it's like a generic thing you could just go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy. You have to actually have it, for the most part, custom built. And like you mentioned, the sticks have picks on them so they can help dig in. I mean, so many times they're down low and battling for pucks and all that kind of stuff. Guys get stabbed and are cut all the time.
Jeez.
All the time. In fact, the tournament that I did watch a few years back, the guys were always coming up bleeding and stuff because it just inadvertently happens just because you're out there. So, I mean, think about it. You don't have the Shea Webbers blasting 109 mile an hour pucks.
Right.
But these guys can still put some English on that thing. And you're not up here now. You're shooting the puck at the net and you're lower from the net. So, yeah, those pucks are all at face level when they're shooting. So it's dangerous. I wouldn't even try it, even if I could.
So one other thing that I want to talk about is that in the past episode when we talked about some of the Olympic cards that were Olympic hockey cards that were in the most recent Topps Olympic and Paralympic team hopefuls, there are some Paralympic players who are on the 2026 team. So Jack Wallace has 2 cards in the 2026 Topps Chrome U.S. Winter Olympic and Paralympic team hopefuls. Goaltender Jen Lee also has 2 cards, and Malik Jones has 2 cards as well. And another player I want to point out is Declan Farmer has 2 cards in the 2018 Topps U.S. Olympic and Paralympic team hopefuls set. I have a couple cards. Obviously, I'm not going to track down all of them, but I've started. I think it was like my last ComC order. I ordered. I was actually ordering some cards of women's players. Now this is actually from the 2014 set, and then I saw that there was sled hockey players, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I'll get some of those too," because they're Olympians and it's hockey, and I think that's kind of cool. I think the only thing though is that I don't like the way the Chrome cards look. I mean, I guess the Chrome cards are okay. I don't know why they decided to go with Chrome this year, but that's a Topps, or I guess that's just a Fanatics thing, right? Like everything has to be shiny and Chrome.
Well, Topps Chrome has the IP, so why not use it?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we've always loved Chrome, even when Topps made hockey cards. Topps Chrome is always like the high end stuff.
Oh,
In fact, I saw a Topps Chrome box at the show.
Really?
What was it? 02 maybe? 01?
Okay.
It was either 01 or 02.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted $400 for it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
You know what the best part about that is?
That the whole box is bricked, so somebody's going to pay $400 for a brick box. Yeah,
they're going to pay $400 for a bricked box of cards, and when they open it, it's like they're all going to be stuck together.
Yeah, and the ones that aren't bricked are going to be hulked out. So
going to be what?
Hulked out.
What does that mean?
You know, the Chrome cards, Topps Finest, the Chrome get green.
Oh, there's a name for that.
Yeah, they call it hulking.
I love it.
Because it turns green. Like
yes. Well, I have a Brett Hull card, and he's the Incredible Hulk because he's green. Yeah, it's one of those 93-94 Topps Finest inserts. Remember the Stadium Club had the 12 inserts of All-Star players? Yeah. So my Brett Hull has a green face.
Well, something, and I'm glad you put these numbers up here for which cards are which, because I've always wondered, like, how often or if ever they've featured or anybody has featured sled hockey players. I've looked before, I've searched, but it's hard to find unless you know where you're looking. I think I even looked on ComC before, and the only thing that ever popped up was the Edmonton Sled Dogs from roller hockey. Like when you would search for sled or sled hockey.
Right.
Remember Roller Hockey International? They had the Edmonton Sled Dogs.
I don't necessarily remember that team, but yeah, I was a little bit obsessed with RHI enough to write a 8-page article for it for the Hockey News. But yeah, I didn't actually talk to any former Sled Dogs or really talk about that team so much. The team to beat was the Anaheim Bullfrogs, but that's a story for another time.
I just wonder if there's a definitive list, or if somebody out there knows of or has made a list of sled hockey. Any listeners out there?
Well, when I was researching this list to try to find current players who were who have cards, the problem I was running to on Trading Card DB is that some of these players were listed under MISC sports, miscellaneous sports, and others were just listed under hockey. Like, I think Jack Wallace was listed under miscellaneous sports, but Declan Farmer was listed under hockey. So, like, when when you could search by name, but then you got to still pick what sport they're in, so like you make sure you get the Steve Smith from basketball and not the Steve Smith from hockey or whatever. So
yeah, Steve Smith from the old UNLV basketball player.
Yeah. Didn't he play in the NBA though?
He did.
Yeah.
I remember him from those UNLV teams.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because you were in Vegas at the time.
Not that far back. I was
okay.
still a kid back then.
Oh, so you followed college hoops when you were a kid?
Yeah. I followed all sports when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't follow any hoops anymore except for March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Only because of the bracket stuff, and I watch all the games, at least for the first 2 days and first week or so, until I start to lose interest. But NBA, forget it. You couldn't pay me to watch an NBA game.
Oh, you can pay me. I would do it. Pay me and buy me.
I wouldn't.
Pay me and then like give me some food. At the game. That'd be good.
They're basically unwatchable at this point.
Well, I honestly, the last NBA game I went to was prior to was pre-pandemic. It could have been, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, and it was okay. I mean, I went to a Bulls game, and that was kind of fun just for the experience. I've only gone to 2 Bulls games in my life, so
we used to go to those a lot back in the day. I worked for a company that their accountant had season tickets, and they would give them to us on occasion. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of us would go, and we'd sit in their little box, which was in front of the actual boxes. They had those extra box area where you could sit, and you had a waitress come to you and take your orders and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't been in a long time. Like I said, I quit paying attention to the NBA when all my heroes retired.
I was never really a big basketball fan, but it was fun when the Bulls were winning all those championships. But yeah,
sure,
winning is always fun, right? I mean, that's again, I'm happy for the Paralympic team for winning the gold medal, USA. So, you want to talk about the Chicago Sports Spectacular?
Sure, the reason for my tiredness.
Yeah, mine too, right? So I set up, I think this is the 11th time I've set up at a Chicago Sports Spectacular. And I mean, I enjoyed the experience, but I'm getting, the older I get, the more tiring I get. First though, I just want to, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, I have to explain this photo. I was going to give a shout out to podcast listener and puck junkie, Stephen Ellis, who has been a friend of this podcast and, reader of the blog for a while now. And he came to my booth and he, we talked. He bought a few cards for his Kirill Kaprizov collection. Say that 3 times fast. But what was really freaking awesome is that Stephen did a photo op with Mike Modano. And he didn't wear a North Stars jersey. See, this is how lame I am. I would, if I was going to do a photo op with Modano, I probably would have worn a North Stars jersey, which you can't be wrong with that. Or a Dallas Stars jersey, right? That would just make sense. Steven wore a Puck Junk t-shirt with the Puck Junk logo on it. That's freaking cool. So thank you. And actually,
it's the Mach 2 shirt too.
The Mach 2 shirt, the newer one. You're talking about the newer one, right?
Yes.
Yes, with the little QR code on it.
Now you got promotion with Mike Modano. You can use that on all the advertising.
Yeah, and if he came to my table first and said, "Hey, I'm going to get my photo taken with Mike Modano, and I'm going to wear this Puck Junk shirt," I'd be like, "Oh, here's a Puck Junk shirt for Mike."
That's not a bad idea.
Obviously wouldn't wear it, but hey, who knows? I mean, I was looking at some of the photos that people got from the fall Chicago Sports Spectacular, and Charlie Sheen was there. And there's a photo that I saw of a bunch of fans getting a photo with him, and Sheen is wearing the glasses that he wore as the pitcher from Major League.
Yeah, apparently the story behind that is there was another guy in the picture. Those were his glasses, and he gave him the Sheen and said, "Here, put these on," and he did. That's what I heard.
That's awesome. I wouldn't.
Yeah, he was a good sport. He played
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's something that I've noticed. I mean, since we're on the topic, they have, over probably the last 4 or 5 shows, I've noticed, they've been injecting a lot more pop culture-y, if I was to use air quotes, people that have some type of sports crossover. And 9 times out of 10, it's some actor that was in some movie that had to do with sports. It makes sense because sports fans are obsessed with their teams. Card collectors are obsessed with collecting cards. And generally people that are fans of movies tend to get obsessed, especially with sports movies, which a lot of times are the ones that we watch over and over and over. Like I've seen Slapshot 1 billion times. I've seen Major League 1 billion times. I've seen the Mighty Ducks movies more times than I can count. Well, at least the first 2.
I will actually say that Mighty Ducks 3, yes, it has its shortcomings, but it's actually worth watching. I know
I've seen it. It's just not one that I watched numerous times.
Yeah. The thing
I've watched Miracle way more times than I've watched that.
Well, Miracle is a way better hockey movie than Mighty Ducks 3. I'd argue it's better than, well, I'd argue to the death that it's better than Mighty Ducks 1. Mighty Ducks is not a bad movie, but it's the law of diminishing returns, right? Like, let's just say if Mighty Ducks is, say you give that a score of like 90 or 95 or even 100, Mighty Ducks 2 is like an 80. It goes from an A to a B minus, or no, an A to a B, maybe an A plus to a B to a C minus, right? If you're ranking the Mighty Ducks movies. I mean, it's just like, the law of diminishing returns. Every time another one comes out, it's not as good as the previous one. So
yeah. But you know what I'm saying about the crossover thing? Because like, I mean, at this show, Sean Astin was supposed to be there. He canceled, but he was supposed to be there. But they also had Rudy Rudiger going to be there. So I don't know.
Wait, Sean Astin canceled?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. I mean, especially if you wanted to get the photo op with him and Rudy at the same time.
Yeah. But like this show, I noticed that Sean Young was there, the actress Sean Young.
Yes.
And people are probably thinking, Sean Young, who is that? Well, if you remember Ace Ventura, she was Ray Finkel in Ace Ventura. So, you make that connection and you're like, oh, okay, well, there's your sports movie connection on that. And she was also in like Blade Runner and Stripes and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I never saw Ace Ventura, believe it or not. But yeah. I know Sean Young from Blade Runner, and I know her. I think she was in Dune as well.
Yep, the original one, yeah.
Yeah, so I know her from those 2 movies, and I was actually kind of thinking about getting her autograph, but it was too expensive, and I really don't collect like movie star autographs. Although I will tell you this, now that I think about it, and if I need to learn to think ahead, because what would have been awesome? Hear me out on this. What would have been awesome is Mike Madonna was in the Mighty Ducks. Emilio Estevez was at the Chicago Sports Spectacular back in November. And it would be cool to get something signed by both of them.
I think there might have been somebody there that had the same idea, because they were carrying around a wagon and it was filled with Mighty Duck stuff. I don't know if you saw that person.
I did not.
They were wearing a Charlie Conway jersey.
That was at this show?
Yeah, and they had a wheelbarrow, or not wheelbarrow, a wagon pulling it along, and it had a giant Mighty Ducks poster that was framed sticking up out of it, and a bunch of other like jerseys and little knickknacks and stuff like that, all with Mighty Ducks logos on it. So I'm wondering if they thought the same thing.
There's a scene where the two of them talk briefly. There's got to be a shot where they're both in the same frame, but there's probably not like a publicity photo. For my hockey news article, when I wrote about the Mighty Ducks, I used a screen cap of him and Basil McRae, and then it's like the back of Coach Bombay's head, kind of like the side of his face a little. So it's maybe not like the greatest picture, but that would have just been cool. You know what I mean? Because those two were in a scene together.
Yeah, the crossover stuff. I mean, there's certainly a market for it. Of course, I don't know how. I know Sunday had the Soup Nazi was there, Larry Thomas.
Yeah.
Seinfeld. I don't know how long his line was, but I can't think of a sports related thing that he was in.
No, they always promote him as the Soup Nazi, and one of the things he'll sign is a soup ladle. And he's been there before. As far as hockey guests, though, and just to recap, so the show was held March 13th to 15th in Rosemont, Illinois. And whereas last time there was only one hockey autograph guest, and that was Paul Coffey, this time there were three. There was Mike Modano, Ed Belfour, and Eric Lindros. So three Hall of Famers, three awesome players. I was thinking about getting Modano's autograph. The problem was I just couldn't get away from my booth. Like, I didn't have a chance to get the ticket, but then even then, like, you could buy the ticket later. You don't have to buy it like right away. But I was so busy on Saturday. It just didn't happen. You know what I mean? And when you're there to sell at a show, you're there to sell at a show. And I know that like a couple shows back, I really wanted to get something signed for my aunt from signed by Grant Fuhrer. So I committed to do that. You know what I mean? And I like bought the ticket ahead of time, and I made sure I had my photo ahead of time. And I even set like an alarm on my phone, and I was like paying attention when they'd say, now tickets, 26 through 50 for Grant Fuhrer, you know what I mean? And then I'd like beeline to the I think I beelined to the ticket area, and I might have even said to the person like, hey, I'm a dealer, can you just let me go in now because I got to hurry back to my booth? And they're like, yeah, no problem. You know what I mean? They're cool about it. But yeah, I just didn't get around to it. And I kind of regret that because I actually had something with me that I wanted to get signed, but it just didn't happen. So maybe next time.
Yeah, it's hard to be a seller and then step away for that long to stand in line and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have, like, I was actually like, first I was like, well, maybe I'll get his O-Pee-Chee Premier rookie card signed. And I'm like, nah, because I kind of like his Upper Deck rookie card better. But then I'm like, but I love Pro Set. But then I'd feel like weird about getting a Pro Set card signed for $59. So then I thought, you know what would be the most kick-ass card I could get signed? And then I realized it would be his Lost Rookies card from the 03-04 top set that looks like an 89-90 Topps card.
Yeah.
And I have the Roenick card signed and I have the Belfour card signed, which are also designed to look like 89-90 Topps. So I'm thinking, oh, that would be cool. Then I'd have three cards that look like they're from that set signed. So
which 90-91 Upper Deck were you thinking?
Isn't he in a white jersey in his on his rookie card?
He's got the regular one where he's got his hands in the air in the white jersey.
That's the one.
And then the other one's the Star Rookie one. It's a different picture.
Yeah, no, it's the one with him celebrating the goal. That's just a great photo. So there were some dealers selling hockey cards, but again, mostly it's like baseball, other sports, and Pokemon. My new joke is Pokemon is the fourth sport. Have you seen the commercials for Arena Club?
I haven't seen a more recent one, but I saw the ones that were being like shoved down everybody's throats for a minute right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, they're shoving them again, and so those of you who don't know, and you're probably better off for not knowing, but Arena Club is basically a repack of graded cards, and you buy a digital pack, And then you see the graded card that you get, and then you can have the card shipped to you, or I guess you can let them hang on to it for you to trade to someone else or something. And anyways, but in the commercials, they go baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, and Pokemon cards, right? Like, and I'm like, oh, okay, Pokemon's the fourth sport now, right? Used to be baseball, basketball, football, and hockey, or baseball, football, basketball, hockey. That was always the order, right? Baseball, then football, then basketball, then hockey. Although in the 90s, I would think basketball and football maybe changed places. And then
I'm pretty sure when Arena Club hit, they weren't doing anything with hockey at all. It was just
that's fine.
Baseball, basketball, and football.
Stay off my sport.
But they added the entertainment cards with the TCG stuff, and I think it's at the point now where that marketplace itself and the whole thing, it's overrun with that kind of stuff.
Well, Pokemon is just so like, I mean, when they started having shows again in 2021, I would always see Pokemon dealers, like at least one or two, and now there's like way more. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about like
way more. No, I don't know how much of the floor you got to walk. It was predominant.
Okay, and I'm glad that you're perfect segue, because one question, I would call this the second largest show in the world. I don't know if that's true anymore, because I know that like the Chantilly show is pretty big and the White Plains show is pretty big. And so
I was gonna say in the world, probably not the world.
Okay. Well, do you think there's a show in Europe that's bigger?
Maybe not in Europe, but Toronto Expo is pretty big.
This is bigger than the Expo, I think.
Yeah.
I think
I heard the Dallas shows are pretty big too.
Yes. Okay, that's the other one. Oh, so by the way, you had the Dallas card show happening the same weekend, and then you had the Arizona card show happening the same weekend. Now, I know people who would go to the Arizona card show wouldn't necessarily go to the Chicago Sports Spectacular. And people who go to the Dallas show might go to the Chicago show if they were on different weekends. A couple years back, I felt that like that sneak peek that Friday, because Friday the show starts at 3:30, but for people who pay to get in early, it starts at 1. They call that the sneak peek, and you pay extra for that. And there would be like the high rollers and the heavy hitters who would come in from different states, and they would be there to like buy like higher end stuff. And I don't always have a lot of higher end stuff. I mean, I got good stuff, but I'm talking like maybe they're looking for stuff that's way above my pay grade. But I felt that like back in definitely in 2021 and 2022, there was a lot more activity those first couple of hours on Friday. This show, I didn't feel that. And I wonder if the Dallas Card Show was actually taking away some of the potential traffic that this show might have had. Likewise, on Sunday, the Orland Park, Illinois card show was taking place. And I'm wondering if people are like, I could go to the Sports Spectacular on Sunday, or I could go to this Orland show and check that out instead. So I don't know. So what's your thought on this? Because I didn't get a chance to walk around a lot, but you were there on the busiest day, and I assume you must have covered a lot of ground because I didn't see you most of the day.
I mean, my son and I, we walked the whole. Yeah, we didn't skip any parts. We walked the whole show floor. So, like after we came in, came right over by you, dropped that box off with you, and then we went back to the beginning where we walked in and headed left. We just made our way around, walked around all the way to the edge, down to the end, came up the next aisle, went up the next aisle, and we just basically snaked our way up and down every aisle. And it took us pretty much for the most part, the whole day. Because I think by the time we got back to where we walked over to your booth, they started yelling to get out at that point. So
yeah.
it pretty much took us most of the day to get through everything. A lot of people, a lot of Pokemon, a lot of One Piece. One Piece is like, I had never really even heard of what One Piece was. The show, it was everywhere, and people were asking about it, and there were cases upon cases of dealers that had it, and I mean, tens of thousands of dollars on some of these cars. I'm going, I never even heard of this before. Like, what is going on? It was nuts. We passed this one table. Oh, and here's another thing, and this will piggyback onto that. Past this one pit table. I couldn't get to the table. It was kind of on a corner of a lane. You couldn't get to it. There were so many people stacked, 3-4 people deep, just crowded around this table. And I'm thinking to myself, who is at this table? Like, it's got to be somebody. I'm looking at the sign. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, why are there this many people here? Well, it was just a guy at his table, and he was buying.
Oh.
So everybody was showing him his cards, and he's talking to him. But it was all non-sport stuff. It was all trading card game stuff. So Pokemon, Magic, you name it, he was dealing in it. And just people were just lined up, triple stacked. You couldn't even get past the aisle. I was like, what in the world is going on? That was the thing. Every other booth, buying, like everybody buying. Everybody's buying. Like, well, I've never seen such a thing.
Well, hold on. Every dealer does buy, and most dealers put up
signs. But they don't advertise it with giant banners that are taking up their entire space.
Yes, and that's the difference now. Is before everybody, almost all dealers would put up a sign saying buying cards, or I put up a sign that says buying hockey cards, because I want people to know that I'm buying hockey cards, and maybe they look and they have Pokemon to say, and they go, well, this guy is buying hockey cards, so I'm not going to show them my Pokemon cards. But you're right. They put up these giant signs that say buying station. That's like a bro term, right? Like, buying
those were everywhere.
Station.
It was like, every 5th or 6th table was a buying station, it seems.
But that's so lame. Like come here to sell me your cards, right? Like, I mean, it's lame. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being a hater. That's okay. I can be a hater. No,
it's just this is what we're encountering now.
Yeah.
It's moved on to this. You have, the rumors go around, and you can't really necessarily substantiate it because you never know for sure. But a lot of dealers are out there talking these days saying that 90% of the sales that they make over a 2 or 3 day weekend show are to repackers. These repack companies are making so much money. They're making money hand over fist. They're essentially printing their own money because of the degenerate gambler mentality of buying these repacks and wanting to get these big hits with next to no transparency and just going at a whim thinking you're going to get something. And they send these people out to all these shows and just tell them, hey, pay heavy for this and buy this and look for this and just get as much as you can. And many of these dealer tables, they sell out sometimes their entire inventory in one fell swoop, depending on what they have. It's the easy way for people to get rid of their junk. That's their junk slabs that don't ever sell, because the repackers will buy it up because it's the stuff that they use as filler. So it's like you walk around and you see all these buying stations, and everybody with their, the black case brigade, the bro cases, they show up, and it's just like one after the next is opening them up. Here's all my slabs. Here's all my slabs. It was crazy. I've never seen like this. Like, and granted, each show as we go through time, it's gotten more and more to the point now where I was blown away by it. There was so much of it. And if you weren't buying and selling, you had some kind of booth set up where you had a camera crew. And somebody'd walk up to your table and ask you if you were buying, and you'd say yes, and you'd look at their stuff, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, here's like 3 cool cards. Hey, can you back up and I'll get my camera crew ready and we'll do this again. And it's all for content. Like everything is for content. Everything's got to be filmed. Everything's got to be put, on the internet and on video. It's absolutely crazy. It's crazy. And even my son was shocked, who lives in the world of staring at his phone all day long and absorbed in the quick hit videos and all of that kind of stuff. Even he was shocked by the whole thing. Like there was one group, it was like a whole camera crew was following somebody around. I didn't see who it was, but he knew who the guy was. I've never heard of him before. He's like the Card King or something like that. I have no idea who he was. But yeah, so the amount of people, the glut of people, the amount of advertised buying, the separate buying station thing was super weird to me. And I got to be honest with you. Normally, and I say normally because I've been doing this for a very long time, you go to card shows and it's kind of like a safe space for the card nerds. Yeah, I didn't feel that this time. I felt like an outcast amongst my own kind for the first time ever.
Really?
Yes.
Why
Because
is
I
that?
was out of my league with everything around me the entire time. I'm not a slab buyer. I don't do graded. I don't do the high-end stuff. I'm not like hit chasing or doing any of that kind of stuff. I'm certainly not jumping into breaks. I'm not doing the wax. I'm not getting cards graded. What's left from that point? You can walk over to the vintage tables, but even the vintage tables now are predominantly graded cards. Or their inventories have been bought out by the auction houses, and they're using everything to auction off as part of their different auction shows throughout the year with the older stuff. Or you have the tables with the old heads that have all their old cards, but they have so many boxes of commons and everything to search through that you have 30 people parked in front of their tables all day long, and you can't even get to them to even look through what they have. And then you have your sprinkling of everybody else here and there.
Just to interject, those boxes that people, you said that there's a lot of people looking through those boxes, like the dollar cards or whatever.
Yeah, like the vintage common boxes, which they're commons, but we're not talking quarter cards. They're like $1, $2, $3, $4, or even like common high numbers from the old top sets that are, $20, $30 each.
Oh, okay. No, because I was going to say now, I feel that like a lot of those people are scouring to try to find a deal. Like we're all looking for a deal, but what I mean is they're hoping.
Most of these guys are set builders that are sitting at these tables because they have their pages and they're checking them
and
off.
Those are my kind of people. That's the kind of collector I am, and those are the kind of collectors that I like.
I do too. It's if you want to join them, you got to wait.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had people who would park at my 3 for $1 boxes and sit there for 30, 40 minutes, and they go through all my boxes and, pick out the cards that they needed, or just that they wanted. I mean, can't beat the price, but I feel that like, here's the problem. Like every now and then I get somebody who will ask me, do you have base cards to finish this set? Do you have base cards I need to finish the set? And I'll just politely say, no, I'm sorry, I don't bring those cards with me. And the thing is that you really can't, because you're not going to make your money back on. If you're going to sell quarter cards, you got to sell a lot of quarter cards, and they got to be cards that people want to buy, right? So if I bring base cards and I sell them for a nickel or a dime, and even if I get like a few sales or a lot of sales, that's still a real uphill climb. This show has progressively gotten more and more expensive over the past, let's see, this is 2026. We won't count 2019 because that was prior to the pandemic. So let's just say 2021 to 2026. So we're like 5 years in now. I'm pretty much 5 years in to doing this sort of thing. Kind of a good time to kind of just do like a check on how things are going. And my booth space has gone up about 30%. Like the price increase has jumped like by 30%. So I have to work
Well, let's be
harder.
honest. This is the new boom period, right? What you're
Right.
talking, the 21 till now. I mean,
Right.
it's the hobby's never been bigger. Well, I shouldn't say never. It hasn't been this big since the early 90s.
Right.
And so, we're experiencing this, and it's great because, rising tide raises all ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, your bread and butter stuff that's kept the hobby going in the down times too, and in the bad times, we're the ones that are standing at the very back of these giant groups of people that are screaming and yelling like it's the mercantile exchange floor,
Mm-hmm.
which I understand is just a circus sideshow, and the real money is just exchanged by people sitting at home on their computers. But still, it's kind of crazy. And the other thing that, because I'm not in that group and I still have my niche of what I'm doing, and I'm still able to participate, and I'm still able to find stuff, and I make it work because hobby how you want, right?
Right.
So many rude ass people, and it's mostly the kids, and it drove me crazy.
Really?
Oh yeah, you'd be sitting there in a conversation with a dealer talking about whatever, and just kids would just run up and just almost push you out of the way. Are you buying? Are you buying? It's like, wait your turn. Where are your parents? I mean, they're nowhere to be found. Like, why do you have a bro case? You're 10 years old. Why do you have $78,000 worth of cards and you're 10 years old?
Where did he get the money? Where did he get the money?
You can't tell me your parents gave you all this money. So I don't know.
Look, I get the upsell thing. You buy a card for $1, you sell it for $2. You buy a card for $2, you sell it for $4. Maybe you work your way up to that $1,000 card. I don't know, but how does this happen? Like, do these kids have wealthy parents?
What else could it be?
I mean,
what else could it be?
I guess so, because you know what? I remember when I used to play with my cousin, and I'd go to his house. His parents had money. They were rich. They had a pool and everything, and it was like he had what's that?
I said, I have a pool. I'm not rich.
Well, anyways.
Mine's only above ground though.
No, this was in ground.
Oh, see, there you go. That's old school money right there.
And it wasn't the round pool. It was like the rectangular pool.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, and he had all the Transformers. Like, I'd go to his house and he'd have, like, I brought my Transformers to play so we could play together. And I'd like pull out one and he'd be like, oh, I have that one. And and he had I only had one that he didn't have, and that was Omega Supreme, which was like $40. And so I felt pretty badass that I had the biggest Transformer, the biggest and most expensive Transformer at that time was Omega Supreme, and I had that. But my cousin did not have that one, but he had all the other ones. So I could see that if he was into cards, I could see him probably, his parents buying him, $300 boxes of cards.
I had a friend in elementary school, same thing, but with G.I. Joe.
Yep.
So, but his dad was like a graphic artist and like a carpenter.
Yep.
Both. And he built him a G.I. Joe like play thing, which was essentially what would constitute a big thing in the garage that was about the size of 2 pool tables put together.
Like a headquarters or something?
Giant play set.
Nice.
That had all sorts of stuff on. He had everything. He had every guy you could think of, every vehicle, helicopter, plane, play set, what you name it, he had it.
Did he have the aircraft carrier?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Not only did he have an aircraft carrier, but his dad built another model aircraft carrier and painted it all up to look like the G.I. Joe one. So he had 2.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah. So I could see those kinds of kids having parents who'd be like, oh, you want a box of baseball cards and they're $300. Here you go. Hope you get something good.
Yeah. What was the one I was complaining about the whole time? Fleer Ultra being $400 a box. What is that? What even is that? That was insane. like, I understand you're going to get a Matthew Schaefer. So what? It's Fleer Ultra. Fleer Ultra's never been a premium set, except when it first came out. And even then, that held no water over time. You know, even when you look at the years of like 05, 06, where you had the big name rookies like Crosby and Ovechkin, those aren't the most highly sought after rookie cards. And you can affordably find those because it's Fleer Ultra. Why is it $400 a box? It's nuts.
When you say it originally was a premium set, you're talking about the 90s?
Yes, when Ultra first came out. Like everybody's like, ooh, shiny, ooh, glossy, cool.
Well,
but it didn't hold its value.
Well, no, most of the cards from the 90s didn't hold its value. But when you look at 92, 93 Fleer Ultra compared to the other cards of the time, it was doing a lot of things that the other sets weren't doing. You had full color on the back as well as the front. You had foil stamping on the front. You had UV gloss coating on both sides. You had full bleed photography. I mean, if you compare that to like 92, 93 tops, world of difference, right? Or even 92, 93 pro set, or maybe to a lesser extent, 92, 93, well, Bowman, haha, that's kind of a joke. But, you know, like most of those other sets, even if you took 92, 93 score and compared it to Fleer Ultra, no different, yeah, no competition, you know. So by the time 95 or 05, 06, pretty much all cards were like that. Full color both sides, check. Photos both sides, yes. Gloss coating on both sides, yes. So,
well, if we're talking purely aesthetics and design, sure. Every card set that comes out anymore is pretty much the same. And so it's just a matter of the branding label that you put on it. What I'm trying to say is, what makes Fleer Ultra a $400 box?
That I don't know. But we'll
like
have to.
4 serial numbered cards in a box. Whoop-de-doo. Every box you buy anymore has serial numbered cards in it, whether you want them or not. And all serial numbered cards mean is it's going to be less desirable than a Young Gun. Because that's the only card that anybody wants.
Right.
So it's like you can get a true scarcity laden card with a serial number, yet nobody cares. If it's not numbered under 20, nobody wants it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But
so yeah, I don't know what was driving the price of that, but that's something else that I know. Wax is just insane. And I was sticking strictly to hockey wax and just looking for something. So my wife always likes when I bring home something to bust open. And I couldn't bring myself to any of it. Not a single box. I was done. After I saw the prices on some of the stuff, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
You know, just to go back a second to the kids with the bro cases.
The rude kids, yeah.
I had to be that get off my lawn guy twice. They were some kids that were set up in front of my booth. I get a booth space with my friend Steve. So we get 2 booth spaces. We have this nice setup. And these kids were like, they were sitting on their bro cases in front of the entrance to Steve's side of the booth. And they had their cards out, and well, no, actually one was sitting in front of his space and the other was sitting kind of like in the middle, like where we have like almost have like an E shape or like a W shape, right? And we have like an island of tables in the middle, and then we have like I'll hold my fingers up like this for those who are watching. So if you think of like a football goal post, but think of like another thing in the middle of tables, right? So there's like tables on all sides. So you walk, a lot of people, they'll walk in on his side, they'll walk through to the back, then they'll go through and then they're back of my booth, and they'll walk out to the front of my booth, or they'll walk in through the front of my booth and then they go to the back and then they go around and then they exit his side of the booth, right? So it's a real nice layout. So one kid was like in front of the entrance to his booth and the other kid was like in the center part. And I thought they were friends with this kid who was going through my boxes. But me and Steve look at each other and I said, don't worry, I'll be that guy. you don't want to be mean Mr. Wilson if you get the Dennis the Menace reference, right? Like Mr. Wilson was that old man always yelling at Dennis the Menace for whatever reason.
So I guarantee those kids had no idea who Dennis the Menace is.
Well, no, but my friend got the reference when I said, you don't want to be mean, Mr. Wilson. I get it. So I walk over there and I say, hey, are you waiting for your friend? And I point over to the kid who's going through my boxes. And they're like, oh, no, we're just making a trade. And I said, oh, well, can you please complete your, I said something like, can you please transact your business elsewhere? I want people to be able to walk in. Oh, yeah, we're sorry. And then they get up and they leave. But this happened
At
like
least they apologized.
I don't know if they apologized. Maybe they did. I don't remember. They probably did. Yeah. But
I got hip checked by a 9-year-old and almost fell on my head.
But this happened 2 times. And I mean, look, I appreciate their enthusiasm, but like at the same time, I don't know, like I feel that that's just like the one ethical norm that's been breached. It's kind of like this. Prior to the pandemic, when I would take mass transit, people would wear headphones. Now, when I'm on mass transit, there's always one a-hole who's listening to music on his phone, not with headphones on. So he's broadcasting his music to everybody who's on the bus or everybody's who's on that train car at the time. And I remember, like, I used to look at, like, I remember one time I looked at one kid and I said, turn it down or turn it off. And he turned it off. I mean, but like, now I don't even bother because it happens like every day. I mean, I commute to school 3-4 days a week. And so I feel like that threshold has been crossed and there's always going to be one every day that does that. And now at these shows, I would have never like gone up to somebody, like if somebody was like wanting to sell cards to a dealer and the dealer said no, I would have waited until that person walked away from the table and then maybe caught up with them and said, hey, I saw something you were selling. I'm interested if you want to sell it to me. Now people will just do that like, oh, I'll buy that, or what do you got? You know what I mean? And then they'll want to like complete a deal like in front of like the dealer's booth.
It happened in front of Diane. She told me.
I heard that story. Yeah. Some guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Some kid was trying to nickel and dime her to death on a Macklin Celebrini, and she's like, I'm not budget. I saw what these are selling for around the show floor.
Right.
And this guy stood here. Oh, you want to pay whatever for that? I got one for you. And they went off. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this is insane. That's what I'm talking about. Like, all these entitled people. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, you don't own the world. There's other people that live here. There's other people that have to exist. Have some common courtesy, especially when you're in a place with this many people packed in such a, I mean, granted, it's a big room, but there's not a lot of space to move once you're trying to get around. Don't do that. Like, don't act like that. Like, it's bad enough that half the people in there have horrible hygiene. Now you make matters worse by being rude. So I don't know. And I, like I said, I've never had a problem. This is the first time and really the first show where I felt totally out of my element. I was like off. Usually I'm like right there. I'm seeing stuff. I know where things are. I can find stuff. I'm getting around. Things are clicking, whatever. I don't think I spent probably the least amount of money that I've probably ever spent at a Chicago Sports Spectacular at this show. Not because I couldn't find everything, but just because every time I went somewhere and I get pushed to the side or moved over, or people would be so self-absorbed in whatever it was that they were doing, they were just occupying all of the time of the dealer or whoever was behind the table working it. It's like no one else could do anything. Like, you couldn't transact anything. Look, if I'm going to go through your quarter box and I'm going to spend I don't care. Let's call it. Let's say I'm going to spend $20. I know that's not going to make your day. It's not going to make your week. It's not going to do any of that to help you. But I spent a bunch of time. I'm taking these cards off your hands. Here's $20. The least you can do is let me finish the transaction and don't let me stand there staring at you for 20 minutes waiting to pay $20. I was so close to just leaving it on the counter and walking away.
What were they doing?
Talking to some dude.
Oh, just like a friend or something.
Just talking to some guy who had a bunch of cards in his bro case and just yabber, 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 yabber. And like the world's going on around them. It was like they were so self-absorbed in this conversation. And it was like I was inconveniencing them by buying something that wasn't worth half of a mortgage payment. So
no, you know what? I thank every customer, whether they spend $1 or $100. I thank every customer. And half the time I even say, thank you for keeping the dream alive until the next show. And they laugh because they know what I mean. Or I say, because every little bit helps to make this a success. You know, I mean, because I don't want to.
It's all true.
It is true. You know, it is
all
true.
I mean, to your point earlier, yeah, you're not going to make money bringing a bunch of boxes of commons, but there are going to be collectors that are looking for that kind of stuff. And whether somebody spends 20 minutes, 50 minutes, 2.5 hours going through quarter boxes to find a bunch of cards that they like, I mean, you'll be the first one to admit that you're a collector first, and you do this because it's fun. So you make a couple bucks here and there. So being able to expand the collection, expand the hobby onto other people and get cards into the hands of people that are going to appreciate them. I mean, that puts a smile on most hobbyists or collectors' faces, I would think. And there's no reason to like just blow people off like that. It's like, don't bring quarter boxes if you're just going to ignore them and not pay attention.
People
like, why bother?
People will thank me. Didn't happen so much this time, but after they buy some 3 for $1 cards, they'll say, thank you for bringing these cards. And what they mean is thank you for bringing like cheap cards to go through. You know what I mean? Like not like.
Well, yeah, because you don't find them anywhere.
You know, and somebody like somebody wanted they wanted a card of a whatever player, and I'm like, well, I don't have a young gun. Oh no, I'm just looking for something cheap. I'm like, oh well, I got a $5 rookie card. Oh yeah, that's perfect. You know what I mean? And then they're happy about that, right? And I'm glad I could do that.
I was trying to remember what that one lady that came to your booth, like when I was there at the very end. She said some name that I was like totally off the wall. I was like, what? Was it like Adam Parish or somebody she was asking for? It was like a totally off the wall Blackhawk name.
No. I was trying to sell a Parish. Some guy wanted an Adam Parish card, and it was like $3. And he's like, would you take 2?
Oh, that was that other story.
I
don't remember what that lady asked for. She said some name, and I was like, wow, that's an out there one.
Okay.
I think you even had something.
No, I mean, I did or did not.
I think you did. I think you showed her something. I don't know if she bought it or not, but
I want to know who it was.
It was right like at the very end. Like Chris and I were like sitting there at the end, and they came in. It was a lady and like her husband or something maybe. Mm-hmm. And she was sifting through stuff for a while and asked to see something in a case, and then she was standing there, and her husband went away, and then he came back.
Yeah,
you saw so many people, you probably don't even remember.
Yeah, no, I don't. I remember seeing a guy in a St. Patrick's Day Pittsburgh Penguins jersey on Sunday. It was like a bright green jersey, and it had the penguin had a green hat on it. You know, it was like still in the pose, but it was in a green hat. It was like a very specific jersey. It's like for Pittsburgh Penguins fans who also like St. Patrick's Day.
It was probably the warm-up jersey they had for one of the St. Patrick's Day games.
Probably. But you know, I had a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Did you explore they call it the forward area? And that's where they have like some additional autograph guests who are just there on their own. You just walk up to their table, talk to them, and get an autograph from them. but I'm more so interested in the tables that were around there, because I used to be pretty much towards one side of the show. And now I'm kind of more in the middle because they've expanded further out more towards the autograph area. For those of you who don't know, there'd be like the dealer area, and it would almost be like a desert, if you will, or just like this big empty space. And then you'd have like the tickets, the autograph tickets, the autograph lines, like the queues to get into and stuff. But what they end up doing is filling in that space with more dealers. And it seems like it's not as well lit. It's almost like that space isn't intended to be part of the convention area, but it is. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we moseyed on over there to where I saw my good friend Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Tilt the phone forward a little bit. No, the other way. Oh no, that's going to be blown out.
Him?
Yeah, now I see him. Kid Dynamite.
Yeah. Jimmy J.J. Walker. He was one of the forward area signers. Yes. We walked over there, and that was when Jess had texted me. She's like, "What? Tell me when you guys are leaving, because I'm going to start dinner." And I'm like, "Hang on. I'm going to go over and see if he wants to come over for dinner." And I sent her the picture of.
Nice.
And I was wholeheartedly expecting her to take the bait and go, "That would be dynamite," but she didn't do it. So anyway, she's not much into the dad jokes. But yeah, the forward area was just essentially a long strip of tables, probably 4 or 5 8-foot tables. And they would have 3 or 4 people just sitting there, and you get your autograph ticket, or I think VIPs got them for free, whoever was sitting at those spots. And you just walked up. Most people were walking up and having conversations with whoever was sitting there for a long period of time. Every one of these shows has that Gabby B girl. Like, I don't know who she is. Apparently she's a pop star from Brazil or something.
She's friends of the promoter. The promoters are from Florida, so she's friends of the promoters.
Okay. Well,
but the forward area autograph people, they basically rent their own table. So like one former player that was there was Denny McLean, who was a pitcher. I think he was the last pitcher to win 30 games. So he was there, and I don't know.
Yeah, he was like the 68 MVP. He won Cy Young.
Yep. Yeah.
He was there when we were there. Jimmy Walker was there. When we first walked up, Varon Rondrashki was there.
Yeah. Did you get his autograph? You being a wrestling fan?
No, because we were mulling around and stuff. And when we walked back past the second time, he wasn't there anymore. But but JJ was there, and Gabby was there doing TikTok videos with her many adoring fans, which were all little girls. So, but whatever, But it's all open.
But what about?
You remember in the old days when the show basically stopped at the edge of the wall?
Yep.
Where the wall took a turn and went, all the way to the back, like receiving dock doors.
Yep.
That's where it ended. And that was all dead space until you got to the cattle call for the autographs.
Yeah.
The turnstiles. Now they've pushed it further, and they have like another row or two of dealer tables, but they have them potted up rather than an aisle. So there'll be like 6 or 9. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 behind it in a pod, and then they'll have another 6 or 9 tables over here. Most of the dealers that were back there were either suppliers, where they had like top loaders and sheets and all that kind of stuff, or they were Pokemon. That's what I noticed. There were a couple sports guys back there, but that was mostly what there was. And that the guy that's always at the far end by the edge of the wall that has all the autographs and pictures and pucks and helmets and stuff, he's always there. And then they had another couple booths that wrapped around the corner before you got to the autograph, the front of area autographs or whatever they call it. But that was it. So it wasn't a whole lot. Like, it wasn't the most wisely utilized space, but I think maybe the last 2 shows they've opened it up to that much more. So they've probably added space for some more dealers just to fit them in.
Yeah.
I think they could probably do 2 more full rows and still have plenty of space in there.
I think they're being a little conservative which is okay, because I remember a couple of years back, they had the show downstairs instead of upstairs. And they added like an extra 40, 50 tables, and they like advertised, and it said, now even bigger with an extra 50 dealers or 50 tables or whatever. And pretty much we all complained. I don't know if they complained if anybody complained to the promoters, but all the dealers were basically saying, yeah, I made less money at this show because there were too many dealers. So the money was spread out too thin. Because I know then the next show, they went back upstairs, and then they didn't go back to that downstairs hall that was bigger.
Yeah, downstairs is too big for the spectacular. I think upstairs is fine, but they could definitely maximize that extra area by the autograph section, because it's just a lot of. Now, if you want to get away from the crowds and be able to move, that's where to go, because you can definitely move. There's way more space over there to get a breather before you jump back into the massive humanity.
Right.
But yeah, as far as like logistically speaking, if you wanted to have more tables or whatever, they could literally put in another 2-sided aisle, and there'd still be plenty of room.
The other question I have for you, and you probably don't have the answer to this because you don't deal.
I have all the answers.
You don't deal in cards, so you would probably. Oh, you have all the answers. Okay, so this is more just a philosophical thing. I don't know. So people will come to my table, and they want to sell me cards. Sometimes it goes well. Sometimes I buy stuff. Sometimes I don't buy stuff. It never goes bad. Like there's never name calling or people getting angry or anything like that. But sometimes like somebody will come to my table and I'll say, okay, I'm interested in this card. What do you want for it? And sometimes they throw out a number, and sometimes they don't know and they want me to throw out a number. And I feel that like a lot of times though, I don't want to throw out a number because, especially like if they bought a box or if they paid for it to get graded or whatever, they might have something tied up in the card, like a certain amount, you know what I mean? And so sometimes it's like, I don't want to insult anybody, but like this one guy, he came up to me and he was nice. This was a very civil conversation, but it just got me thinking. And he had some cards, he didn't have all hockey, but he had some hockey. And I looked and I pulled the cards out, and then like a couple of autographs and a rookie card and like just a couple of, and anyway, so like, he's like, well, what would you offer? And then we kind of agreed. I said, well, all right, let's comp this one card, because this is the one card that's like, all right, it's like a $50, $60 card. Okay. And then like, all right, these are like maybe $5 cards. These are maybe $10, whatever, right? And so it's like, okay, well, what would you give me? And then I said, well, if I could sell them for this much, and I basically said I would pay about 50% of the comps. And I said, the reason is because none of these cards are going to fly out of my display cases. Like, this is a $5 card. This is a $10 card. This is a $50 card. But I might have these cards for a few shows. They're not something that's going to sell like tomorrow or next week. And he's like, I understand that. He's like, but I can't do 50%. And I said, all right, now I understand. And I guess the thing is like, it's hard because you don't want to insult the person, but at the same time, I've overpaid for stuff and then I've been stuck with it, and then I can't sell it because it goes down in value, or I sell it for what I paid for it, or whatever, right? And so you're trying to come out ahead. You don't have to, you're not going to, you told me this. You said, Sal, you're not going to win every deal. And I took that to heart, and I like that. So I don't beat myself up. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. You live, you learn, right? But, and then at the same time, if somebody has a Connor Bedard card and I go, oh, I could sell that for $30. And I say, what do you want for it? The guy says 20. I go, all right. Because you know what? I know that card it might sell as soon as I put it in the case. It might sell tomorrow. I've literally bought cards and stuffed them in my back pocket, like, because I'm going to go like price them. And then like somebody say, oh, do you have a card of this player? And I literally pulled it out of my back pocket and said, I just bought this card 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's like that. So I'd just like to know what your thoughts are on this, because again, you don't really buy and sell in this way. You do buy and you do sell, but you don't do shows. So I'm just curious what your thinking is on this.
In 2026, in the current card market, paying 50% is probably on the low end, but I do get it, and I think you're justified for it.
Okay.
I think most dealers are probably going to fall somewhere in the 50 to 70% range for most things.
Okay.
When you're comping them out, but you have to make a bunch of considerations here too. And number one being, what are you comping them out with? If you're using closed eBay sales, okay, you got to remember you take that stuff with a grain of salt, because there's a lot that goes into a lot of those. So if you're going to take 17 sales over the last month for the same card, okay, that's a pretty good, that's a pretty good window to capture. You can find the low end, you can find the high end, you can probably come up with something in the middle. If you're going to find that same card and the only comps you have was 1 2 weeks ago, 1 6 months ago, and 1 2 years ago, those aren't good comps. So it's more of a guide than anything else. And you got to come up with something that you're comfortable paying. Stuff's going to sit. If you're buying something that's not desirable, or as the kids say, liquid in the current market, and you're not going to turn it fairly quickly, and you know it's going to sit, well, there's no real reason to pay much more than that, because it's just going to sit and it's going to sit and it's going to sit. By the time you sell it, you may have to take a price cut on it, or it may just be the fact that it went down. I mean, the hot defenseman that you're paying $300 for today, 5 years from now is going to be $3. It just is, because that's how this works. So I don't think you're totally off base doing that. If, like you said, with Bedard, you'll put Bedard in the case and the next person can walk up and says, I want to buy this. Okay, well, you may pay a little more for that. You may pay 70, 80% for that, because chances are the next 5 people that walk up to your table, someone's going to buy it. Or Easton Cowan. Because I told you that would sell. And so, if it's something hot and something that's liquid, sure, you could pay more because you know it's going to move. But 50, 60%, whatever. I'm not expecting anything more. You take that to a local card shop or something, you'd be lucky the guy's going to offer you 30 or 40%. So people need to understand that there's overhead when it comes at a card show. And you can come up with whatever BS excuse you want, that eBay is the be all end all, but that's not the world. Go on eBay anytime you want. If you're bored out of your mind and you want to buy cards at 2 a.m., you can do that. You got your own card show at your fingertips and in your pocket because it's on your phone. But this is a card show. This is human interaction. This is face-to-face. You went there. You drove, you Ubered, however you got there. You paid admission to get in. The dealers paid for their table. There's a lot that goes. There's a lot more that goes into that, and a lot more that you have to consider. And it's immediacy. You get it now. You don't have to deal with shipping. You don't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. And if you want to somehow bake that into your number, so be it. But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I don't necessarily think you need to beat yourself up over pricing or offering prices or all of that kind of stuff, because you're going to get it. You're going to get the people that are squeamish and don't want to tell you what their number is. You get people that want you to give the first offer, and at the same time you bring something up to somebody and you look at it and you're like, wow, that's really cool. I don't want to insult you. So there's a lot of dynamics involved in this. But I don't think, if let's put it this way, if you said you'd be willing to pay 80 on stuff that's pour liquid, and everything else is like 50 to 60, or let's say 50 to 65 range, you can easily just tell them right off the bat. If it's something I know that's going to sit, I'm probably going to pay 50 to 60%. If it's something that's going to sell, I might give you a little bit more for it. Anything you're looking to trade, maybe we might be able to work on a deal a little more in your favor. I mean, there's that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of dealers that'll, if they're buying 50%, if we're trading, it might go up to 75%. So you might be able to get a little more value if there's something that you really want. And I'm like, all right, well, I got these 2 cards and I really want that one. Okay, let's work out a deal. You give me like $30 cash and these cards, and it's a trade. And off you go. You pop it in the case, slap a sticker on it, sell it for $30 more than you were going to originally get, and you made up for the 2 that you traded plus the 1 you sold. So, yeah, it's a game. And sometimes, did I really say that? Sometimes you're not going to win them all. I don't know.
You did.
I say a lot of good, really good things. I should write a book or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't think 50% is unheard of. I think it's probably on the lower end these days, just because of all of the people I was already saying that are paying high percentages just to get bulk.
Right.
So that they could sell these repacks and stuff.
Right.
But again, it's a different world, right? You clearly, like, if anybody that's ever seen Sal selling at a show, you're not walking up to his cases going, wow, look at all the graded cards. You're not walking up there going, man, that guy's got all the coolest cards ever printed in the history of Earth. No. You have a ton of cool stuff, and it's mostly stuff that people just don't see at a show. That's why it's cool to walk around and look in your cases and everything else. And I think that's why hockey fans that come through there, they can appreciate that. So if a couple of the bro-case 10-year-olds come up and are mad that you won't give them $500 for a $20 card, I don't care.
No, it's that they want $20 for a $20 card or $500 for a $500 card. And especially when I ask people, I say, like, what does it sell for? Or I say, what do you want for it? $200. What do you think I could sell it for? $200. Okay, well then I'm not making any money. Well, I'll do $180. I'm like, well, no. Now I have to spend $180 to make $20. I say, so I'm not even making, I'm making that's a 11% return. It's okay. You know what I mean?
You pay $180 for a $200 card and you turn around and sell it 20 minutes later and you made $20. Okay, cool. But chances are that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's probably going to sit.
So just want to give a rundown of some of the cards that were in demand. At least these are either cards that people were asking for or that people were buying, at least from me, or, like, again, what they were asking for. So Connor Bedard is still my best hockey seller. I mean, a lot of the newer Blackhawks like Korchinski and trying to think, Ethan Del Mastro, some of the newer guys, their cards were selling as well, but everybody was looking for Bedard. Patrick Kane is always a strong seller for me, but this was a surprise. This is the first show where I was actually selling Jonathan Taves cards in a long time. It's like he was out of hockey for a couple of years and he was just forgotten about. Like, now people are like, oh, he's one of the greats, I want his cards. But like, it was almost like a show, 2 shows, 3 shows ago, I couldn't give his cards away. Now he was like one of my best sellers. Like, I sold some of his rookie cards, sold some of his insert cards. So he's popular again.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, pretty much. Macklin Celebrini, I think the Olympics had part to do with that because he had such a strong showing at the Olympics. People were looking for his cards. And then Hillary Knight and Sarah Nurse, who played for Team USA and Team Canada, respectively, in the Olympics, but are also in the PWHL. people were looking for their cards. Now, Hillary Knight, I didn't have any of her cards for sale, but a couple people asked me for her cards. Sarah Nurse, interestingly enough, I had 2 cards of hers and I sold both of them. Like, got any women's hockey cards? Yes, I do. Right there in that case. I even have a little sign next to it that said women's hockey cards. I just had like a row of them, like 6 or 7 different cards, maybe multiples of some or different cards of the same player. And so she sold, I sold both of her cards.
You'll be happy to know that probably 6 out of 10 tables that had any substantial amount of hockey cards that I found also had women's cards now.
Oh, that's good.
Now, most people had their prices as you would expect, because the scarcity, number one, and the demand, number two.
Mm-hmm.
So even common cards that should probably be like 25, 50 cents, people are selling for $1 or $2.
Right.
And selling them. So because the demand is there.
Right. As far as like the men's Olympians, Jack Hughes and Connor Hellebuck are 2 names that people were
Jack
asking.
Hughes is not surprising, but Hellebuck, that surprises me, especially in Chicago. Yeah.
But
I know he's like arguably one of the best USA goaltenders, but he plays for Winnipeg, and I think he's largely forgotten about by casual hockey people.
But this was all because of the Olympics.
Yeah.
So people were looking for Hellebuck, Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes. I think that was about it. Nobody asked for pretty much any of the other players.
You're going to get the old dead cat bounce for a little while.
What's that?
Well, that's what they say when a team fires a coach and they get the new coach and then suddenly go on a winning spree. They call it the dead cat bounce. That's what I call anything where it's like it's the hot thing for the minute.
Mm-hmm. And then I had a lot of people ask for 1980 Olympic stuff. Mike Eruzione or Jim Craig or any of the other Olympians. And so, I had a few cards of, I only had 1 Jim Craig card, and I had a couple of Mike Eruzione cards, and those were strong sellers for me at the show. So, I just some of the, it's only a matter of time before people like really start to, it's like if something happened a couple of years ago, people don't care so much, but once you put a little time into it, I used to do shows in the 90s when I was a kid, and I would bring some Super Bowl 20 stuff, but Super Bowl 20 was so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago when I was doing shows. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to buy my Super Bowl 20 program back then. Although honestly, I don't know if I was selling it back then, but you get the idea. Now, anything Super Bowl 20 sells. It's just, even a kid who was about 14 years old, he talked his dad into buying him a magazine with Walter Payton and William Perry on the cover. He really wanted that magazine. Okay, so it kind of transcended like, oh, I remember this from 1985 to the point of people saying, oh yeah, that's one of the legendary teams. I want to collect their stuff, even though it was before I was born, right? So you put enough time, and then people want it, right? So some people who are looking for Mike Eruzione stuff didn't remember the Miracle on Ice, but they've heard about it. They've read it. They've seen the movie Miracle a few times. So,
yeah, it's good. I wonder how long before this high wears off, I guess, and then you have to put all the Olympic stuff back into storage for another 4 years.
Yeah, probably 4 years, because in 4 years we'll have the 50th anniversary.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of quite surprised of how much women's hockey has grabbed the attention of a lot of the dealers that have any type of hockey. Like I said, it's interesting because a lot of them, even though PWHL cards came out, we're getting ready to have our 3rd release of them this year. So we got 2 that are out there, they've been on EPAC. They've had game dated moments cards, and so there's a smattering of them out there. It's interesting that you now find boxes where you can sift through them, and they're specifically labeled women's hockey. And I think I saw a few of them like last couple shows, but there wasn't a lot. There was kind of a lot this time.
Well, you've had 2 sets come out now. Plus,
well, I'm just saying, I think it's riding the high of the Olympics being new, the women's hockey team, and just the popularity it's never been higher.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
No, it is good. I mean, it's good, and there's the cards for it too, because I mean, again, when the women's team won in '98, there weren't really women's hockey cards, and it was a different market back then. I mean, by '98, cards were sliding downwards, not climbing upwards like they are now.
What? We had the 97, 98 Collector's Choice women's cards.
Yeah, that's not but those were of Canadian women's players.
They were.
But the U.S. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so was the SO set that came out that year?
Mm-hmm.
The pre-Olympic hockey heroes that had the women's.
Those page size, they weren't really cards. They were more like they fit in that little binder.
Yeah.
You have that set.
The only USA women's cards I can remember were the ones out of that 94 Classic set.
Yes.
And after that, it was like the 2020 or 2002, the HSI
team
US
set.
women's team set.
Yeah.
Which is practically impossible to find the whole set.
And yet somehow I have 2 of them. Go figure.
You can find singles here and there every once in a while, but that set's tough.
Yeah, I found somebody who was selling full sets, and I bought 2 of them because one I was going to break up to get autographed, and the other one I'm just keeping as is, But
I actually saw a single card from that set at this show.
Yeah?
It was Julie Chu, and it was banged up.
That's too bad.
I would have bought it. I almost bought it just because we never see it.
Right.
But it looked like a dog chewed it.
Yeah. Okay, so I did get a couple of things, and I do mean a couple of things. I mean, I can't really walk around and buy stuff, although I try to from time to time. But I did, sometimes people stop at my table and they have stuff to sell. I might buy it to resell. I might buy it for my own collection. I finally got my hands on the Connor Bedard rookie insert that looks like the SP card from 93-94 with the die cut.
Yeah, those weren't those the bonus pack that was in tins or mega boxes that year?
Yeah, I don't know, because I didn't get any Series 2 that year. Actually, no, correct. I got 1 box of Series 2 that year, and that was it.
I think those were the bonus pack in the mega boxes.
Yeah, I couldn't find mega boxes. But, so I finally got that card, and I'm happy because, it's another one for my collection. And then somebody had a Frank Nazar card, and I did Frank Nazar autographed rookie card. And so we did a part cash.
Lord, that autograph is horrible.
Yeah, it might even be upside down. It's
so I'm glad you showed that.
Yeah.
So Chris and I had this big, long philosophical conversation as we were walking around about how the old school guys actually took time and care in their autograph, and because they cared about their autograph, and it looked good. Looking at some of the old time Hall of Famers and stuff, I mean, their autographs look amazing. They're perfect in many cases. And over the years, there were guys here and there that were kind of crappy looking and stuff, but most people you could more or less tell who signed. And you get to the modern times, and it's like, I think so much stuff gets thrown in front of these guys that they just don't care anymore, and their autographs are all just just something silly like this. Like I can make out an F. Maybe that's an N. It looks like FW to me.
It does look like FW.
So it's like, I don't know what is going on there. And we found example after example after example of guys, current players, where it was just a line. One of them looked like a check mark. It's like, how can you even authenticate that? Like anybody could just go,
Yeah.
That's nothing. Meanwhile, you have like Gordie Howe. Clearly says Gordie Howe. Bobby Orr. It says Bobby Orr. You look at a lot of these Hall of Famers, and you could see all of the letters. You could see it spelled out, and it flows, and it's nice script.
Well, it's a signature. It's like they were signing a check. And now what I heard,
it meant something.
Well, but what I heard was that a lot of times it's the players' agents who tell them to learn how to do a fast autograph. Like just, make it quick. Don't take a lot of time doing it because you'll have to sign a lot of them. So make it fast, And that's
worst thing I ever saw was a video one time of John Cena signing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going like this.
Right.
And he wasn't even looking. They were posters like laying on a table. And he's like looking at the camera like this, just going. It was ridiculous.
He's probably just so numb to having to sign so much, that it doesn't mean anything anymore.
That's what I'm saying. I think so much stuff gets thrown in front of them because you got to figure there's so much autograph stuff out there now. Upper Deck comes out and like, okay, we're going to make 17 sets this year. 14 of them are going to have autographs in them. 10 of those are going to have a ton of autographs in them. So we need a minimum of 5,000 signatures of each of these guys. Ready, set, go.
So you got a couple of things too. You got a couple of jersey cards of Evgeny Malkin and Marc-Andre Fleury. And then you got a couple of Future Watch autographs of Chris Letang and Tristan Jarry, and then a Future Watch non-auto of Brian Rust. So you got some pretty nice cards. I'll go back to those other cards because I just kind of showed them really quick. You got some really nice cards at the show. I mean, I know you got other stuff, but these seem to be like the highlights of your show.
Yeah, from a hockey standpoint, for sure. The Malkin I found by accident. The Fleury I thought was cool. I already have that Fleury, but the one I have is a yellow jersey piece, and this one's white, so it's different to me. But yeah, they were fairly cheap, so I was like, all right, I'm getting these. The other three, those were the big guns, if you will. I'm not one to spend a lot on cards, so this was high end for me. But it was a pretty good deal. I got all three from the same dealer. I've been looking for that Future Watch Brian Rust for a while. Believe it or not, with there being 999 of them, that card doesn't come up that often.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of them out there. Just doesn't come up a lot. And I think either one of two things. There's a lot of Penguin collectors, and if they have it, they probably keep it, stays stashed away. The other thing, too, this is from 14-15 SBA. Wasn't a big set at the time. 14-15.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So it kind of gets ignored, but you got to remember Brian Rust, like him or hate him, he didn't have a Young Gun card. He's one of the I would say prominent NHLers that never had a Young Gun. In that mid 2000s to mid 2010s era,
Mm-hmm.
where some guys got skipped, like Jonathan Quick maybe, or Pecorine, or Anders Lee, or Jonathan Marchessault. Those are guys that just don't have Young Guns, and Rust was one of them. So that's probably the closest thing you get to his young gun is just his Future Watch card. And the Letang, I've bid on that Letang multiple times online, and I've lost every time. So this was my chance to finally get one that I wouldn't lose. And essentially, this was more along the lines of a buy two, get one free. So I guess the Tristan Jarry was kind of the free one out of that pile, I would say, just because of the price that they were. But the dealer comped these out while we were standing there. We already had, my son and I, so we kind of knew where we needed to be. And the guy was comping them out. I told him, jokingly told him, make sure he looks at the comps in Edmonton for the Jarry. That way I only have to pay like $6 for it. But yeah, so yep. So those were my big wins.
Yeah, those are nice looking cards. I mean, I don't necessarily collect Penguins, but I mean, I would have that Jarry or that Letang in my collection, just because. Well, I mean, signed rookie cards are awesome, but Letang's had a long and respectable career, and Jarry, the book is still being written, so who knows? I mean, he started out strong. He seems to be slumping. Maybe he'll turn things around, or seems to be slumping. He started out strong, and then he didn't do so well. But maybe he'll turn things around.
Yeah, Jarry's one of those polarizing goaltenders. When he's good, he's good. When he's really good, he's outstanding. But he's gotten in his head many times, and he goes into those slumps that are almost like he's never going to pull himself out of it. And since he's gotten traded to Edmonton, I mean, at this point, I know you can't really write the book on a trade that early, but Jarry for Stuart Skinner, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer at this point who won that trade, at least right now. But you're right, Letang, he's getting to the end of his career. He's going to be hanging it up. He's a bubble Hall of Famer. I'm not going to say he's going to make it, but he's certainly in a conversation for many people. As far as a defenseman goes. And what happens with any players like that had a really long career that could potentially make the Hall of Fame. They always get that bounce right at the end when they first retire and everybody's going after their stuff, and then they cool off after that. Mm-hmm. And then if they do get elected to the Hall of Fame, there's a little bit of a push, and then it cools off after that. So I thought now's a good time as any to grab this.
What year is that Letang? Is that 07, 08?
The Letang is 06, 07.
06, 07. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Letang's 06, 07. The Rust is 14, 15. And the Jarry is 16, 17? Yeah, 16, 17.
Do you know what his young gun, does he have he has a young gun, right, in 06, 07?
Letang, yeah.
Is that just like a head and shoulder shot, like a portrait shot?
Yes, it is his, I believe the Penguins yearbook photo.
Okay. And the reason why I remember that is because that was the last young gun I needed to finish my 06, 07 set. So that's how I always remember Chris Letang. I had to be sure that I was remembering it right, because even when you think you remember things right, sometimes you're wrong. But yeah, I remember he was the last one I needed from 06, 07, and to finish.
I have the Letang. I don't have the Malkin.
Well,
I have the Malkin checklist. I don't have the Malkin regular.
Yeah. I remember I bought a case of Series 2 that year, and I ended up with 3 Malkin young guns.
A case? Jeez.
Yeah, a case. That would have been, was that 12 boxes?
Back then, probably.
Yeah, I think it was 12 boxes. If you remember, Upper Deck used to have those little lucky shot, or I don't know what they called them, but the little discount cards that say go to upperdeckstore.com and type in this number to see what your
5% off or 10% off or whatever. Yeah.
Well, my friend, one time I got 50% off.
Wow.
So I said,
that's like a
"Screw it."
case hit.
Well, and that's what I did. Then I hit a case. Then I bought a case because you know what? The prices were $72 a box. This is back when they were 24 packs in a box, and they were basically it was $72 for a box. So it was basically a retail box, and you were paying the same as you would pay at Target or whatever, because it'd be like $2.99 a pack, so $3 a pack, right? So $72 a box, and I said, I'm just going to buy a case. I'm going to buy a case of Series 2. That's what I did, and I got 3 Malkin Young Guns in that case. So
yeah,
it was a very good case for me.
My adventure in the one year I bought the cup, my son brought that up. He's like, look, you want to buy the cup again? I'm like, no, thanks. And the tin, somebody had a tin, single tin. It was $2,200 in their case.
What year?
Like,
this year?
I don't even remember. I didn't even look to see what year it was. Mm-hmm. I just saw the price tag on it. And I was like, the year I bought the cup, they were like $600 a tin.
I know, that seems so quaint now.
Yeah. So you hear that now. Like if you told somebody, oh, these are $600 in today's market, they would buy up every box you had.
Right.
At that price. But that was extensive for me. And I, at the time, had money and it was burning a hole in my pocket. And apparently I didn't like money as much as I like cards then. So.
Well, I mean, we always have a threshold for how much we want to spend on something. I mean, I don't want to spend $600 on a box of cards, but I mean, at the same time, I could see, like, if I made a little more money, how I would say, maybe I'll do that, right? Like, or maybe just once, like you said, right? But $2,200, that's not even fun. That's not even fun.
Like that's what you're looking at on the screen right there, that was the bulk of what I spent at the show. I spent like another, I think, $68 total beyond those 3 cards on sifting through like discount boxes and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
So any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Because it was fun to talk about the show. I gave my perspective as a dealer. You gave your perspective as a buyer, collector, consumer, shopper, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that the hobby is thriving. And obviously we're still, I don't think we'll ever get away from the whole, I'm priced out of the hobby, I'm priced out of this, I'm priced out of that, because we've talked about this before. When going gets tough, you got to pivot.
Yes.
Right? And so you pivot to something else. And if you are a collector, you'll figure it out. If you're a team collector, there's always things within the realm of your team. If you're a player collector, you can find stuff that you've never seen before. If you're, a certain sport or whatever, there's always a way to finesse it and figure out how you can still fit within the hobby. But I will tell you this. If the organized shows keep heading this direction, you're going to scare a lot of people away.
What direction do you mean?
Like all of this yelling and screaming over the top, everybody run up to my table and try to sell me everything under the sun, nutso type thing. Because that is just, nope. I didn't sign up for that. I'll just keep buying my singles online and doing my thing that way, if that's the case.
Well, the other thing,
Unfortunately,
since you talk about trending, so I did a little bit of quick math, and from 2001 to from 2021 to 2026, so in a 5-year span, we'll say 4.5 years, from November of 2021 to March of 2026, my booth cost at this show has gone up 40%. So it hasn't quite
21.
Huh?
Since 21.
Since 21. So in a 4.5 year span, almost a 5-year span, it has gone up 40%. I did the quick math, and that's what it is. And so I kind of feel like I'm getting squeezed out a little bit too, because when your table look, this show to do is expensive, but when your operating cost is lower, you could take a little more risks. I mean, like for instance, like there's that one dealer that we both like. He has the same first name as you, Tim.
Yeah.
He has graded cards. I looked at his booth real quickly just to see if he had anything that I wanted, and all he had in his display cases were graded cards. I mean, maybe I didn't look hard enough, but
no, that's all that's in the cases out front. But they have a shelf that sits in the back,
right?
And they have boxes of non-graded or lesser graded stuff in those boxes. You have to ask for them though.
No, and I like this dealer, and I'm not throwing shade or anything. I mean, he's one of my favorite people at the show, so I go back to his booth even to just say hi, you know. But like, the thing is that when the costs are lower, you can bring cheaper cards. When the cost gets really high, starts to get high, then you got to think, okay, I can only really bring good stuff, because the mediocre stuff that people might want, that's not going to make me a lot of money. Like, you know, the one guy, I don't know if you saw this guy. I don't know if he was even at the show, but you've seen him a million times. He's that old guy with the gray beard that kind of looks like Santa Claus, and he has all the quarter cards. He has just like tables and tables of quarter cards.
Yep. Was at his booth for probably 20 minutes, and we had at least a 5-minute conversation.
So he was there. Okay, that's good. That's good, because
in the same spot they always are.
Good. Okay. I normally run into him. I didn't see him this time. But the thing, and it doesn't mean he wasn't there. It just means I didn't have a chance to stretch my legs and wander. But like,
they were there.
Okay, no, that's good, because people want those cards. People, you know, his table usually has a bunch of people at it going through the boxes.
In fact, I was able to, the one box of hockey, because there were a lot of people there. So we kind of shifted to the edge, and the one hockey box we looked through, it had all 24, 25 stuff in it.
Nice.
Which I haven't bought any of. So we sifted through the whole box, pulled out all the Penguins, and just bought those.
Well, see, and you like that sort of thing. You put in a little bit of time, you dug, you found the cards that you want them, you got them at a good price. Everybody goes home happy, and that's how we want it to be. But like with the costs increasing, that makes it harder for those guys who aren't selling the $1,000, $5,000, $8,000 super rare Fractor or Charizards or whatever. You know what I mean? That just makes it hard for us little guys, is what I'm saying.
They also tried to sell me a 2001 commemorative puck from the NHL All-Star game that they somehow had sitting under the table.
Who was they?
The Santa Claus guy.
Oh, did you buy it?
I didn't.
What do you want for it? Like,
it was still in the case, the little commemorative case too.
2001 All-Star game. That wasn't Toronto, was it?
No, that was at Denver.
Okay,
Pepsi Center.
I don't think I watched that one.
Yeah. It was still in the little display case, and she opened it up. She's like, I don't know if this is real or not, but you're welcome to take a look at it. And I pulled it out. I'm like, that looks like a sticker. Then I held it up. I'm like, nope, that's the print. That's the actual puck.
Nice.
She's like, you can have it for $5. And I'm like, that's not a bad price, but I don't really want it.
Well, the thing is like pucks are heavy and they take up space.
Right.
And you either got to be really selective about the pucks you collect. And actually, you know, that might be something I might do. I've been thinking about starting to collect a game program from every All-Star game. I know the further back you go, the more expensive they get. But I thought that would just be a really cool thing to have, because if you think about it, who's pictured? All the best players, right? So that'd just be kind of a cool thing that'd be kind of like a cool little side project, and also pretty finite because, you know,
right. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a finite project. You have a beginning, you have an end.
Yeah. Or like, I might even like say All-Star pucks from like, say 1990 and up. I think I have a 1990. That was the Penguins year. And I know I have that All-Star puck, and of course 91 because it was at Chicago Stadium. And then, I would actually, that'd be kind of a fun little project too. I'm not saying, oh, you should have bought that puck, but now that I think about it, because I like All-Star game logos, and I think that'd be kind of a cool way to collect them all. But
well, if you need a 2001 and the next show rolls around, head on over to their booth, see if they still have it.
I'll do that. So shall we end it here?
We should end it.
All right. Well, I like happy endings. Hopefully you do too. So thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you went to the Chicago Sports Spectacular, we'd love to know your thoughts about us. You could hit us up via email or on social media. If you'd like to support this podcast, you could do so by buying a t-shirt at shop.puckjunk.com. And if you like to read, check out the blog at puckjunk.com and a newsletter at puckjunk.com/newsletter. And until next time, collect what you like.